Start off with some breaking news coming in. What could be very alarming news for the Indian Army. A scuffle has broken out between officers and jawans of the 10th Sikh Light Infantry unit. At least 2 officers and 1 jawan are among the injured after the scuffle broke out at the inter-company boxing tournament in the 10th Sikh LI unit deployed in Meerut for training. A court of inquiry has in fact been ordered, and the Sikh Light Infantry happens to be Army Chief General Bikram Singh's regiment. Shiv Meerut now joining us on the phone line with more details. Shiv, if we can understand why exactly the scuffle broke out between the officers and the jawans.
Sanjana, the details that we're getting is this happened last evening in Meerut when there was an inter-company boxing tournament in which both officers and jawans were participating. And we understand that passions began to fly, over the results of one particular round during that boxing match. After which, it came to close. It's ironic that a fight erupted over a boxing match itself. But this was literally gloves off. It was a fight that was gloves off. Two officers, including the second in command, a lieutenant colonel of the unit itself, 10 Sikh Light, Sanjana, was injured, and 1 jawan was also injured in this fisticuff, and they were shifted out to a hospital. It took a great deal of intervention by other officers and seniors to actually break up this fight, which apparently had turned very ugly, and blood had also begun to flow. Apparently, the second in command, may have even broken some teeth. Is the information that we're getting, in this particular fight. As you rightly pointed out, Sanjana, the Light Infantry happened to be the current Army Chief General Bikram Singh's own regiment, and this particular unit was the 10th Sikh Light, which was in Meerut for training at the time. A court of inquiry has been ordered. It will be conducted under the aegis of a serving brigadier, and a very strict action is likely to be taken. I just spoke to an officer in the Army Chief's office who said the Army Chief has taken an extremely serious view of this particular incident and has asked for very rapid action and accountability to be fixed for what happened.
Absolutely, Shiv, stay with us. Gaurav Sawant also joining us in the newsroom. But this really alarming incident, not reflecting too well, considering there's been a major scuffle between the officers and jawans, and as Shiv pointed out, there was blood involved. People have been injured.
Well, the army initially tried to downplay this, saying that it was a sporting event. There was a boxing competition on late yesterday evening and tempers were flying high. But it's only slowly that the magnitude is dawning even on the army. And this isn't an isolated incident. In the past couple of years, there have been a series of incidents of officers and jawans clashing, whether it was in Ladakh or in Rajasthan or in Punjab, whether it's the artillery, the armored, or now the infantry. So there is something that seriously needs to be looked into. Why are these incidents taking place? Why is officer and jawan relations, why are their relations deteriorating the way they are? The army often tries to dismiss this or brush it under the carpet, saying that these are isolated incidents. But when you see what happened in Ladakh, when you see what happened with the armored corps, and what you see that's happened with this infantry regiment, these are not isolated incidents. There is a serious problem that the army needs to address. Some of it is already being addressed. What sources in army are telling us that there is a committee that has been formed, headed by a major general at the Army War College, that will look at why officers and jawans relations why are these relations going downhill.
Gaurav, if you can actually, for our viewers, shed light on the previous instances where there have been scuffles like this in the past, where you spoke about Ladakh and now this happening in Meerut. If you can actually shed light on those instances and what exactly happened then.
Well, fortunately, the incident in Meerut was limited to just a fist fight, and that too during a boxing competition. So a part of it perhaps could be understood as tempers flying high, passions flying high. But what happened during a field firing exercise in Ladakh was something that the artillery regiment is extremely embarrassed about, where officers and jawans were in an extremely uncomfortable face-off situation, and weapons had been drawn out, and in one of the unfortunate cases, while that court of inquiry report was never made public, sources in the army telling us that the jawans had actually chased the officers away from the regiment and from where their location was. And the army was seriously addressing that issue, took strict disciplinary action, not only against the commanding officer, but also some other officers and jawans of that regiment. That was in the artillery. A similar incident in the armored corps took place again when officers and jawans clashed. the reasons, as many explain, and since these court of inquiry reports are never made public, they said Jawans today are far better educated, far better aware of their situation, and the way the British Army officers treated the Jawans, that same situation cannot continue today. The reforms in military affairs is something that the Army talks about to a large extent. It is also happening, but
Right.
perhaps it needs to happen at a much faster pace than it is going on presently.